One of the things I just cannot stand about the politics here in the U.S. is that there really is no political party that represents me, or I think a lot of other people. We got on one hand the idiot Democrats, and the other hand we have the idiot Republicans, and I used to think that about half my views are liberal or Democrat, and half are conservative or Republican. And then I realized most of my views probably aren't either one at all. That's a bit more of a digression for some other thing. But another one of the things that really drives me crazy about politics, with these dichotomies of, oh, you have to be a Republican or you have to be a Democrat, or, well, you're an independent. Well, what the hell does independent mean? It just means everybody. We can't lump into one of these two camps. The other one, the one, I should say, of these dichotomies I want to talk about, which another false dichotomy, it's not a one or the other, it's a one or the other, or maybe some middle ground somewhere, is the whole idea of being pro-life or pro-choice. Now, when it comes right down to it, I would call myself both, actually. And the reason why is, on one hand, I'm pro-life in that I really wish that no one would ever get an abortion. I wish that nobody would ever have to get an abortion. And I really wish that nobody would ever choose one if they decided to have one. I wish there was another way. I know you can't always have that. It doesn't always work that way, but I really wish it was. I really wish a lot more people would, a lot more women especially, would decide to bring the baby to term and then give the child up for adoption. Yes, that's a little selfish of me. I'm looking to be an adoptive parent, but the whole thing boils down to, for me, every reason I give for being pro-life, meaning never wanting to have an abortion, it always boils down to my own kind of gut feeling of when the initial zygote becomes a child, when you start considering that to be a child instead of a bunch of cells. Is it immediate? Is it somewhere in between? Is it one of those cases where we know we start with just a bunch of cells of blastosphere, and we don't really want to call that a human yet any more than we want to call a pollywog an actual frog yet? On the other hand, you get all the way to where you're 8.5 months in, the child could be born any minute, the child's not born yet. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much a human, but where does it suddenly change from being just a bunch of cells to being a human? Who knows? And every argument I hear as to why I should logically pick that life begins at conception, every single logical argument that I hear, and I use the word logical very loosely, is always based on some sort of faith or gut feeling. It's either based on a Bible or just something that the person feels. And I admit I have the same feeling, but there's a big difference between me and a lot of other people that would call themselves pro-life. I know that there's a big difference between something you can logically and pretty firmly conclude and something you just have a gut feeling about. And if it's something I have just a gut feeling about, even if it's something that I really dislike, I would never, ever, ever support the state's use of force, meaning just the enactment of laws. I would never support that to do something to enforce one of these gut feelings of mine. That's just, it's wrong. There's no two ways about it. It just totally goes against the whole notion of being free and just being a good person, in my opinion. So even though in my gut, I'm pro-life in that sort of way, at the voting booth, I wish I could be pro-choice. I find I usually end up voting for the Republican just because I find the Democrats worse, which is saying something considering that what the Republicans are doing now, and I totally disown them, basically. But anyways, I'm pro-choice. And the reason why I say I'm pro-choice is not because I like the idea that babies should be killed or any other sort of nonsense that gets trotted out as something. Somebody makes a bunch of assumptions about the whole damn thing and comes out on their damn high horse and starts cursing up a storm at me for whatever. I'm pro-choice because there's no way, I yet to be convinced that there's a reason why I should put a gun to a woman's head and say, you have to keep that baby. That's just wrong. And I honestly don't think that that's ever going to change. I've been thinking about this for almost all of my 40-plus years, and my views haven't changed because I just haven't had good evidence. Now, some of you think you've got good evidence, that's fine. If it's anything that I've heard before, yeah, I've heard a lot. I've seen a lot of discussions here on YouTube about it. But long story short, the whole idea, the term pro-life is really misappropriated by the people who are anti-choice. I think really, in reality, almost everybody who is pro-choice is really pro-life too, and that they wish that it would never have to happen. But they want that ability to be. We know about the consequences of what happens if abortions are illegal, for example. We don't like the idea of grabbing somebody by the throat and making them do something because we just have a gut feeling about it. No. That's about all I'm going to say at the matter. Anything you guys feel like leaving in my comment section or anything about this, feel free. I might not respond to it. I hope I get something that I can. But in any event, thanks for listening, and see you guys later.